you, Kevin. Good to see everybody here. I'm Joanna Toch. I'm from Family Law Cafe. I had an idea about 2012 or so that what I was doing just seemed just slightly meaningless. One of those moments in time when you just saw this is ridiculous. Let's try and do something new anyway. Sort of seeds of an idea. Chatting with my team today about living in a post-truth age and practicing family law in a post-truth age where people can be whatever they want, say whatever they want, and the concepts of truth and lies. I was a bit surprised that my team, very Gen Z young people, said they wouldn't mind if someone called them a liar. It wouldn't be an insult and it would not trouble them. And it made me thinking, my generation, that's something that was just, drummed in. And I thought back, before I started on my way here as to where did this come from, that importance of truth. And I remember my first brush with this. I think I was about 5-6 years old, and we had one of these old style people, if they're old, will remember this, to LPs, vinyl, as we played music, and we had a beautiful wooden cabinet with all this in. It was shiny, it was carved. I remember as a child looking at that and thinking, so I just could have sort of carved something into this. This would look pretty good, Spent time doing it, and I was like, something sharp, and looking at that. And whilst I was doing this, I was thinking, not sure. And I must have been old enough to write, because I did write on it. And anyway, that stayed there, it was in pride of place, and no one noticed for a while. And I had that sort of gnawing feeling in my mind as to, I'm not sure what I did. Was it the right thing? Was it the right thing? Was it? Anyway, I think it was probably 2 or 3 months later, and I just wasn't ready for this, when your father gets home, and which was how my mother exercised this, when your father gets home, because when my father got home, this was not welcomed. There was a punishment. I think I sort of came, yes, it wasn't correct. It is important that there are rules, that these are other people's property, that you don't do this. So sort of carved into me at that early age. Not sure if that's why I became a lawyer, but we now are in a post-truth age, very plainly. I've had 3 examples in court this week. On Monday, a judge actually saying to me, it wasn't the fact that, he's saying that the report to the police is a breach of an order, and it's because it was done to upset him. And a judge said that to me, it was done to upset him. How could it be that reporting something to the police is a breach of a court order? It's interesting. And then I sat in court, and the man to the left of me, a litigant in person, said, it's the first time I've ever had contact with Miss Toch today at court, and looked at the judge. But he had been emailing me. He had no issue with saying that directly to the judge's face. And an expert's report that I read today that said, I have done this test for autism on this lady. She scores 3 points, and you had to get something like 25 out of 50 to be on the scale. Plainly, she wasn't. However, but I think the test may be wrong. And actually, she is autistic because she fell out with her employer. And this is an expert, because in family law, it becomes polarized. This is an expert who has a view and who is willing to say to the court, I have done a test, that test is wrong. I think because of these reasons, this is the truth. So law in a post-truth age, what we're trying to do at Family Law Cafe to bring it to that is, it's not getting easier for people to get their voice heard. It's not getting easier for judges to decide things properly. People are terrified of, in family law, being dragged into court. They know that their options are to go to a solicitor, maybe to go to a direct access barrister, to look for a mediator. What are their options? They are litigating possibly against someone, likely against someone who knows everything about them. So they need to find a way that they can get heard and tell their story against a sea of misinformation, because it's not getting better. You would think now that people could find out what to do in court, but it's a sea of misinformation. I've had people that I look after who still don't understand, who are being polarised, who are being pushed this way and that. So when you come to Family Law Cafe, the concept is simple. If you have a family law problem, you come to us and we listen to you to try and understand what your problem is, wherever you are in the process. Once we understand what your problem is, we will put together a package at your budget to get you to the end and where you need to be, to move you from where you are to somewhere that's better. And that may mean getting you a barrister, a solicitor, a mediator, whatever you need, but you are in control. And you would think that that's what all lawyers are doing, but they're not. They're in an outdated system. We've moved on so far, and yet people are still going to using the same linear approach. And it's just not suitable anymore. We have tech, we should use it. We use tech, but only to benefit people. So we have an online case space, everything run online, but we have real people you can talk to. So tech should help people. Tech shouldn't be something which is a barrier. It should be there to help people. So if you're in any area that touches upon that, and that can be in well-being, there are people here that are in well-being, because when someone is going through a divorce or separation, then we want to be able to say, this is someone who will look after you in the way that we look after you. So we want to work with affiliates. We want to work with people who understand that what we're trying to do is solve a problem. And I'm sure most of you here are here because you are trying to solve a problem for other people and because you want to do something different. I don't think you'd be here if you were just working in the normal way in the system. You're all doing something different. We can all help each other, and we're all here to network and help each other. Clarus Fortior gave me confidence that I had an idea that could work, and I will always be grateful for that. I had this idea in my mind. I didn't have the confidence to do it. Well, I was doing it, but I was doing it in a hidden way, and it's not the best. I was just too scared. And also I thought my idea was so good that as soon as someone saw it, they would take the idea. But the fact is, and all of you will know, you have to work so incredibly hard when you're doing something different, and people will misunderstand you and they will say, oh, you're this is what you're doing. And even though you explain to them, no, I'm not doing that, I'm not a referral service, I'm here to look after that person from the beginning to the end, they would try to put you in a box that's already there. So I'm sure that most of you are trying to come out of those boxes to do something different. So I hope we can all help each other. I'll hand you over to Julian in a moment, who's showing the way, who's a few years ahead of me. I hope that in a few years I will be at the level he's at already. I'm sure that you're all on your different journey. And just to finish, so that you know how much I had to learn at that young age, the reason that my parents knew it was me and not my two elder brothers was what I carved into their beautiful piece of furniture was J. Toch. So when you have an unusual name as well, I've stuck with it. It is my maiden name. But you know, it's a a very short name, and people will get it wrong. But also, if you get it right, then remember it. So I stick to that, and I'm sure we all get things wrong in what we do. But if we have the courage to try and fight for what we're doing and what is right, then all power to us. So have a great evening, and if I don't get to speak to you, please just contact me and let's chat. If you think there could be any connection with what you're doing and what I'm doing, then it would be great to talk.